Hello Factorio people, welcome back to the broadcast from Space Age. A semi-streamlined let's play of what I'm doing in Space Age. Sorry, I'm rushing this one out the door, I have to say. You may or may not know, depending on how much you keep up with the channel. I'm moving house, so it's all a bit crazy here. Stuff in boxes, important things need doing. But the factory grows, so if you want to do the old like, comment, subscribe, we'll jump straight into it, shall we? We are returning to Nauvis, having sorted some stuff so that we can leave science pretty much ticking over while we do big megabase related things over here in the hex grid. We set this all up in the last episode just to sort of, you know, we need to go to big school, basically. Like, this 5,000 science per minute number is frankly embarrassing. 160 odd hours into the game, where are we? 1 million production sites. It's fine, it's fine. I'm a slow player, we've established this. So I have started, and I don't know why I decided to do iron plates rather than just ship molten iron. I thought it would be fine, I thought it wouldn't make any difference, but it is going to make a big difference, but I don't realise that until a little bit later. But this is the base for the mega base. I shouldn't have said the word base there. This is the functionality that we have decided to build upon. I suppose base is the best word for that. And the hex grid is very good. I did have a few comments about the fact that it's not symmetrical on one side, and I really don't think you can do it. I mean, I'm happy to be proven wrong, of course. But this, on this side, then doesn't line up if you flip it, so then you can't get your crossing to line up. And I think it's just to do with the the grid and the hexagonal nature. Doing a hexagon on a grid is very difficult. I know how to do it. If you've ever done if you've ever played with a let me get my drawing tool out, in fact. If you've ever played with set square and a compass, everyone knows this, right? Everyone knows this. To draw an accurate hexagon, you draw. Oh god, this is going to be funny to try and do with a on-screen drawing tool. You draw a straight line. No, that's not true. You draw a circle. I haven't got a circle tool, I've only got a square tool. I've only got an ellipse tool, so they're not going to be perfect circles, but you use a compass to draw a perfect circle. You draw a straight line through the middle of that circle using the dot that you made from the compass. Then you draw two more circles using where these two intersections meet as the center of the circle. So if you imagine, it would be like something like this and something like this, but obviously not rubbish. Then where these 6 intersections are your hexagon. That is a perfect hexagon. This is obviously very difficult to demonstrate with the with the draw on stream painter tool. Link in the description for this. But due to the rail sort of being on a 2x2 grid and being, you know, like quite broad really in where it sits, it's very difficult to implement that. And as such, this is the best I could do. Okay. Right, more mega base stuff, more grid sections. Thanks for joining my spontaneous geometry course. So the logic was at the time, iron needs to be shipped around into a bunch of places and turn into pipes and sticks and gear wheels and stuff, whereas copper really only needs to be turned into cable, right? Cable is the only 100% pure intermediate product of copper, whereas iron has a lot of intermediate products: pipes, steel, sticks, gear wheels. I don't know why that made my brain think, oh, that means that it's probably best to just ship around the plates and then turn the plates into what's needed, given that of course the foundry can make all of those intermediates anyway. So I'm still thinking that this is the best thing to do, and clearly it's not. So I've set up the copper mine. Why are you asleep? You should be turning up. Oh, that's because of this. It's because I copy and pasted the iron one, but didn't change both combinators. This is my train logistics system. Here it comes. Here comes the train now. So we'll make molten copper, and that's fine. But we really should be making molten iron, and I don't learn my lesson for a little bit. I'm also really not sure of the exact scale of things that I need, right? This makes quite a lot of molten copper. But I'm kind of just building grid sections that are functional, but don't go hugely overboard with stuff. What I'm mostly doing is I'm mostly making a design, then using the rate calculator to see how much of a wagon of that thing is used per minute. So this would need almost 7 wagons per minute, which is the train going backwards and forwards almost twice a minute. That is really about as far as I want to push it. Any more than that and it starts to get a bit much. Your train network starts to get a bit, the train is just going backwards and forwards so quickly. I have tried to build in some resiliency here, so like we could make this a two train station if we need to, but the other thing is that this goes very, very quickly. So not only does this needs about 2 trains a minute, but it would only take that long to also turn into 1 full trains of molten copper. So I'm not too concerned about the throughput of this, and that's mostly what I'm using as my baseline. I haven't done fuel logistics yet either. So, with copper and iron set up, obviously the next logical step would be a nice module of electronic circuits. This has been really fun. This has been really, I haven't gotten this far yet in Space Age actually doing humongous, ginormous designs. If you remember the Factorio playthrough that we did, that was also a very fun aspect of it, trying to squeeze everything in a nice way, getting all of the throughput to be correct and make sense and stuff like that. That was like the best bit of the entire game of Factorio, really, for me. So this is the design with using the iron plates, which, isn't brilliant. I've done chest-to-chest transfer here for these just because I wanted I need a little bit more space. But obviously I don't want to put this on a belt. That would be ridiculous. That would not look very good at all and probably wouldn't work. Chest-to-chest transfer is just much faster for the inserters, basically. Basically is what the logic there is. And so yeah, so this is outputting 297 electronic circuits a second, which is a lot, which is kind of a lot. So the ultimate plan here is to, and we're not going to get this done in this episode, I'm afraid. The plan here is to get most of the basic NalV stuff done, and then get a mega base amount of red, green, military, blue, purple science done, so that we can just grind out loads of levels of mining productivity, steel plate productivity, and stuff like that. and also, you know, bolster. So we've got a lot of Gleben science, we've got a lot of Fulguran science now. We've done this one really, but we can do some more low density structure productivity, I suppose, if we really want to save a few prod modules in furnaces and stuff. Foundries, rather. But you know, this is our first goal, is to just try and get a decent amount of science up and running on NowVeast to get this mining productivity like ticking over, like 54,000. I want that to take a minute, right? I want to hit 50,000 science per minute on NowVeast. I don't think that's extremely unreasonable. I don't think that's even going to be that difficult, to be honest with you. Just a small note on intersections here. I am not going to faff around with making the train be able to come in from both sides here, like this. This is a very quick recipe for a headache. Due to the nature of the grid sections, it's not really that cumbersome to expect the train to go all the way around, like, and then enter on this side, just have to come this way. It just makes signaling and copying and pasting grid sections a lot more sensible, right? If I was also allowing this train to go back this way on the grid, just to save a few seconds on train journeys, first of all, this would have to look, you know, extremely ugly. And second of all, this signalling would be a nightmare. It would be very close to this set of signals, which is not what I want. And then also, moreover, if I then wanted... where's a good example? I haven't got a good example. Currently. But, you know, like, when I have... Oh, thanks, Research Productivity 26. When I have grid sections that are like, I've got, you'll see it in a bit, I'll talk about it properly then, I suppose. No, I've started talking about it now. Because I'm not like beholden to a certain station design for these, right? So for this one I've just done a simple in-out, and even the loading and the unloading is happening in the same area. I've got another section where I have an input here where the trains load here, because I've got like a three-way station here for the oil. So then that means that this train will come in this way, whereas these trains will go in this way to another section. And I don't want to have to signal and worry about, when I copy and paste things, also letting a train come in this way and also letting this train come in this way. Like, that would be a nightmare. So I'm just not gonna do it. Basically, long story short, I'm just not gonna do it. Right, have I done... I'm slowly upgrading the Spidertrons as and when I see fits. 2 legendary exoskeletons, it turns out, is overkill. If we come over here, they do move very fast with 2 legendary exoskeletons, and that is good, but it's too fast. The robots don't have time to like catch back up to the Spidertron, or even, yeah, you know, like, if I want to just fill this lake in like this and do this, then the robots sort of can't even really catch up, and nothing gets done. You see what's happening here? So it works alright if I just want to go, yeah, sit there, do a few, sit there, do a few. But obviously when I'm filling a lake with a Spidertron, I want to just set a bunch of instructions and go, alright, and then I'm going to go do something else. And by the time 2 minutes later, I'm like, has that done that? And then obviously it's not done it, even though it easily should have done. Look at this. It's comical. It's some Benny Hill type nonsense, isn't it? Frankly, ridiculous. So, 2 legendary exoskeletons is overkill, so I'm going to change these to have 4 legendary roboports, 1 exoskeleton, and I'm also shipping legendary robot frames from Vulcanus, because we were making some. And I spoke about it before, that obviously you can't really just have your own personal supply of robots that you take with you everywhere, because you would have to load them into the rocket every time, and that's a real pain. But obviously when we've got Spidertrons, the Spidertrons will always stay on the planet that we build them on. So it's more suited for... Legendary robots are more suited for Spidertrons, basically. And the legendary ones, you don't even really get that much out of it, to be honest. No, don't do that. To be honest with you, it doesn't make them fly faster, it just makes them not need to charge their battery as often. Just gives them a higher energy capacity, so they still use the same amount of power that they would use, they still fly the same speed they would use, they can just fly for further before they then need to stop and charge. But they don't charge any faster. Unless you're of course using legendary roboports, and then they do. And they can charge faster. So, yeah. Legendary roboports and legendary construction robots in the Spidertrons. Legendary robots for thee, but not for me, basically. Okay, let's do oil processing next. I hate doing oil processing. I don't know why I've played this game for almost 3,000 hours now and have never once set up an easy modular oil processing thing that I can just go. I'm so sick of designing this every single flipping time. Anyway, I've done it now. It does not need this much water, but I thought this looked cool. And yeah, obviously now we can take away landfill, so... Another thing, you remember in the Factorio series, I did have a water fill mod, but I tried to only use it in this situation. I tried to only use it to fill water in on places I'd used landfill already. So that's very good. I mean, there's not really much to say here about this. Crude oil processing, circuit network conditions, put the light oil in a barrel before you then start cracking the light oil, and then also some lubricant, and these are the three that you need. The lubricant needs to go into robot frames when you need yellow science, petroleum goes everywhere, light oil goes into rocket fuel. If we're going to make rocket fuel on Now Vs like this, which I think we probably will, we're going to get to the point where... I mean, actually, was that silly? I've just this very second realised, do we even need to make rocket fuel on Now Vs like this? What are we shipping away from Now Vs in such high quantities that we're going to need so much rocket fuel? Because now that rocket fuel is not an ingredient in a science pack, I kind of just went on autopilot there for that one, folks, I have to say. Well, it's fine. We need it. It's basically free at this point, you know? It's basically free. And yeah, so here's the intersection. Like, so if I have this one... Why are you red? Why are you red? You should be yellow. Right? Because you can go this way. Oh, there's not split up into blocks on this side. Of course, silly. So so the Spidertrons are a bit slower now, but the robots can at least keep up with them when they're doing their jobs. So I got 4 of these bad boys. I can't remember if this was in the last episode. I got 4 of these, and they're just filled with rail signals, pylons, landfill, everything we need to build the grid sections without having to worry too much about actually being there at the time. And yeah, they're a bit slower, but like if I turn my robots off and like ask them to get rid of these trees, for example, at least the robots can now get back to the Spidertron and do another job before the Spidertron stands still, which is obviously what you want, right? ghost pick it from the map view, but you can't ghost place it from the map view. That's weird, isn't it? Look, you can queue this, you can use the pipette tool to queue this, but you can't then like shift place it from this view. You have to then zoom in one level to do this. Oh, maybe 2,000 landfill for each of you. Look at this, they're so silly. They're such silly boys. 2,000 landfill is clearly not enough, is it? You need more than that on each of you. What are you doing? They're like peering over at something really, really interesting on the other side of the lake. What the heck is that? Sorry, this isn't the banter series. This isn't the banter series. Okay, so oil is fine. Oil makes plastic, does it not? I think it does. Pretty sure it does. Hooray! Cryogenic plants. I have enough legendary modules and plastic productivity to not need to fill it to get the maximum 300% bonus. 280% productivity. 300 is the limit. I'm trying to use stack inserters where possible just to, you know, saturate the belt a bit faster. This is an okay build. It's okay. I'm starting to put legendary beacons down as well just to make sure that legendary beacons with efficiency modules in, I should say, just to you know, save power where we can, because let's not forget we are still running on 4 nuclear power plants here on Nalvi, so we haven't put fusion power in yet. So this is making 15,000 plastic per minute, so fill about 1 train per minute, and it's using 38,000 of the petroleum, which we are getting from here. Obviously using this is a bit weird on this because it's not always going to be using the light oil, you know, like, so there's a baseline we're getting 251,000. Oh my god, these numbers are insane. These numbers are insane. And the coal is coming from this. The big mining drills are able to mine this stuff here, and I have put the station in on the off chance that this 52 million patch with 550% rocket at 550% productivity and 50% resource drain ever runs out. You know, sort of around the heat death of the universe, I expect that to happen. Gleba? Gleba is there's an interesting problem on Gleba. This is a weird problem to have. The capture bot rockets stopped because I forgot at one point this was going to be the storage for the legendary capture bot rockets, and then I changed that, but I didn't change the filters to not do anything with the, because these were putting these into the recycling system, right? So I was like, well, don't recycle the legendary ones. But you don't really expect a legendary capture bot rocket to come out of a machine like this, you know? 24% quality, so there's a 1 in 4 chance for it to be a higher quality, and then after that there's another 10% nested chance. So 2.4 for it to be rare, 0.24 for it to be epic, 0.024% chance for it to be legendary, I believe is how the numbers on that work. And eventually we got that roll enough times to completely block this up. So yeah, and I need to get rid of the... It's funny that the legendary bioflux here is actually a better source of legendary spoilage than this recycling system here, but we do need to get rid of this spoilage in some way, so we may as well just leave them. And I'm going to make this one also do me legendary capture bot rockets, because I'm not doing anything with the bioflux at the moment, it turns out. So we may as well just have any legendary bioflux in the system turn into capture bot rockets and save it. You know, we're sort of using this as a legendary bioflux storage system, which I realise is not brilliant, but I went through all the effort of building it, so I'm going to use it. I do think that when we go back to Gleba for real, we are going to do the method I showed off last time where we upcycle fruit. I think. I think we will. Anyway, okay, right. Plastic and green circuits make advanced circuits, do they not? I believe they do. I refuse to use belt weaving, I will just do it like this. Output a heck of a lot of copper wire. You don't need to worry about direct insertion for this one because this does not need as much copper wire as green circuits does. And then I even managed to get 2 sets of legendary beacons down the side. So so this makes almost 8,000 a minute. Uses 5,700 of the green circuit, so that is like, whoops, that is like a third of that and a third of the plastic as well. So we are hugely overscaling at the moment, but that's a good problem to have. That is a good problem to have. The downside to this design is obviously I haven't managed to squeeze in any efficiency beacons into this, but we do need to remember that the beacons in Space Age have diminishing returns. But with Legendary it's not that bad, so it might be worth, you know, just sort of swapping some of these for efficiency modules. So if we swap like this and this, then we're saving 10 megawatts each on them, but only for a... Wait, no, what? Yeah, we're saving like over 10 megawatts each, but for a loss of 10 crafting speed, which is a lot. But if you have to build more just to counteract it, then, you know, it doesn't really make any sense to do that. You know, we'll just take the hit on this one, I think. Like, power is fine, but you can see the moment that I turned this one on 5 minutes ago, it has, you know, caused a huge spike, but needs must, I suppose, needs must. Shouldn't worry too much about power, really. I'm just doing it sort of like as a... where I notice that I can squeeze some efficiency beacons in, I may as well, right? Especially when they're completely full of prod modules, like plus 1,390% power. That's quite a lot of power, that's quite a lot of power. And this is quite a lot of red circuits. I could double this up, I suppose. I could, if I really wanted to. It's about here that I realise that maybe molten iron would actually be correct, because I'm like, oh, what shall I do next? I'll do sulfur and sulfuric acid. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do sulfuric acid, I need iron plates. Am I really going to bring in iron plates? Why did I not just do molten iron? Because then I also started to think about science. And obviously red science needs the gear wheels, and I'm like, am I really going to bring in molten copper and turn that into copper plates and directly insert that into a science machine? But I'm going to turn iron plates into gear wheels, 2 iron plates into 1 gear wheel. So, you know, it was at this moment he realised he messed up, to use a cliche meme. So, yeah, get rid of the molten iron pipes from here. We'll let this empty, and we'll fix this. We'll make this better. We'll make this better. It was taking too long to empty. I ran it over in 3 or 4 big goes with some help of the Spidertrons as well. And we'll just make it molten iron instead. So this is working very well. Doesn't use enough to worry about. 7.7 green belts, but of course a stacked green belt counts as 4 green belts, so as long as we're using stack inserters to unload the boxes, that saturates the belt quite nicely. And then we're just waiting for one more train lot to go before we move this over to a molten train. I'm also going to tidy this up a bit. when I plugged the oil in, I built the grid sections around here, and I realised that this one... Oops. I realised that I could probably just about get away with doing the same thing that I've done with the coal here with this iron, and just have this iron in its own grid section and tidy up this monstrosity here. But because of the sheer amount of productivity and iron that we're using, it takes a little while for that to empty up. And then, so once that's sorted, the molten iron will come in here to make the sulfuric acid via iron plates and the sulfur. I did not really put this save file in a very sensible place, did I? But you need sulfur and sulfuric acid. You don't need as much sulfuric acid in Space Age as you do in flipping Factorio 2. Factorio 2 is all about sand and sulfuric acid, apparently. But we do need some. I want a grid section to do nuclear rocket fuel. That's not a thing. Nuclear fuel at some point soon, probably using this patch here, just so that we can start fueling our trains automatically, because currently I'm filling every train manually with nuclear fuel, just because they're not travelling very often and nuclear fuel lasts a long time. But I want to fix this sooner rather than later, because I am then going to have to go through every train and give them the interrupt for fuel, and we'll do it like that. Which is why I've elected to not do a robo port network in the mega base this time. My Factorio one I did, and most other times I do, just because I've tried doing like fuel trains, and it's more trouble than it's worth. You may as well just get robots to carry a few nuclear fuel over every now and then. But we're going to make full use of the train interrupts here, and we're also going to try and save a fractional amount of UPS by not having a humongous roboport network covering the entire base. Also, let's just quickly go and show you. You may notice the lack of biters around. Obviously, expansion is off, peaceful mode is on, pollution is off. I'm not doing that. This is a mega base playthrough. He says 160 hours in. We're going to build a mega base soon. One day we'll build a mega base. What are these called? Destroyer capsules. One destroyer capsule gives you 5 destroyers that last 120 seconds now. They've been buffed. They're also buffed by the electric weapons damage thing. Yeah, it buffs the beam damage of the destroyer. So generally what I do is every now and then I just take 100 of these out, and these just sort of obliterate everything in a very simple, satisfying way. With the exoskeletons I've got on me, they have a hard time keeping up, but that's fine. That means I can just slingshot them into the base of biters, and yeah, this is mostly why I just didn't... I wanted the biters on, because obviously you need to do things with them. You can't just completely turn the enemies off now in Space Age, because you need the nests and you need the eggs and stuff. But I find early game base defense to just be more tedious than it is interesting. And then I find late game clearing space to be more tedious than it is interesting, because you get to the point where, you know, like this is... Yeah, granted I'm on peaceful mode, they don't come and attack me until I fire the first shot, but at the same time... Oh, have I got more than 100 follower robot limit? I thought I only had 100. I usually stop at 100. Why do I have more than 100? Where is it? 125, oh my god. Walking death machine. So yeah, I just don't find this process particularly interesting. I don't really want to have to spend an hour every now and then clearing biters out of my pollution cloud, or setting up a base perimeter to just kill them as they come and attack, because neither of those things are very challenging. They're not a challenge to me. This is obviously is not a challenge. This is just a thing that I will do every now and then when the biters are in the way of where I want to expand. And you might be saying, and that is a completely valid point, you might be saying, oh, here's the editor check, by the way. You might be saying, oh, that's because you've got it on peaceful mode, so evolution is not very high yet. And maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. We're only on 84% pollution, evolution, so we're not even really seeing behemoths and stuff yet. But if we were playing for real, then that number would almost certainly, it would definitely be 100% by now, or 99.99. It never gets to 100%. But yeah, like that was just another little side rant as to I don't really care about the biters, I'm afraid, especially when we're talking about Megabase. Alright, so if we get the molten iron in, we're going to have to redesign electronic circuits and plug everything else back in as it was before. Small issue on Fulgora in that we were just making too much scrap for even this to keep up with. Even this being able to process like so much of everything very fast. Legendary recycler filled with legendary speed modules, 7.5 crafting speed, you know, it was still not keeping up with the solid fuel and stuff. So I fixed that by deciding that we do not need to process scrap if we have more than 200? More than 20,000 electromagnetic science packs, and that's just on this side of the network, right? That's just here waiting to go in the train. That doesn't even count the 105,000 we have on this side, because we have 6 logistics chests here filled with them, the train is filled with them, and the buffer chests over here are requesting them, so the robots don't have to fly all the way over here whenever science is being requested. Yes, that may slow down legendary electromagnetic plant production, but all we're using this for is just to stockpile legendary holmium for when we need legendary holmium for building things like legendary superconductors, which we'd make in batches every now and then because we need quality module Mark 3s, which we don't even really need those anymore. We kind of solved that problem. Legendary supercapacitors for stuff that, again, we don't really need that at the moment. What does a legendary fusion power cell do? Nothing. Good to know. Legendary mech armor, we already have one of those. Yeah. So actually the electromagnetic plants are mostly what we're after, really, at the moment. I'm kind of thrown the idea of making legendary science packs away at the moment. It seems like it's going to be much easier to just make 6 times... What is this? Oh, my dead robots. RIP. It seems like it's going to be much easier to just make 6 times the amount of science that you want legendary science of with basic ingredients than it is to try and make legendary science, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Okay, let's get molten iron properly set up. Thanks, autosave. Yeah, there we go. So this makes the sulfuric acid and the sulfur, and then I've put a circuit condition here. Make the sulfuric acid first, basically. Don't output sulfur from the cryogenic plant until there is more than 300,000 sulfuric acid in these storage containers, and then just focus on outputting the sulfur. Vice versa, don't take sulfur from this cryogenic plant into this sulfuric acid plant when there is more than 300,000 sulfuric acid. That works very well. And then with the molten iron, we have also redesigned electronic circuits. I brought some of the legendary electromagnetic plants over from Fulgora, and I did that by sending a Spidertron over to Fulgora, because I realised that they were being made over here, and this is not a logistics network robot with a rocket silo. And I was like, I'm not going all the way over there myself just to fix that. I'm not going all the way over there just to pick up 40 legendary Electromagnetic plants. Oh, I know what I'll do, is I'll send a spider... send a delivery Spidertron over there. A courier Spidertron. And all that does is it's just going to walk over here, pick up 40 and bring them back whenever I need some. Which is an extremely lazy way of solving the issue, but I really did not want to be bothered to travel over there. Yeah, so this makes way more electronic circuits than we were making before. 35,000 a minute. That's not bad, is it? That's not bad. So the base is sort of... See, this is not even empty yet. Almost. One more train worth. Maybe 2 more trains worth, and then you'll be empty, and then I can sort this out. It was a lot of design work, and I know I don't do the design work on the stream, because I'm not very good at it. It takes me a lot of trial and error, you know. So there's a decent amount of progress here in this, but that is all I've done. I can't really say that you know... I'm showing you the end result here. I've not even put any of this in the blueprint book because it's a real pain to get the hexagons in the blueprint book because of the shape of them, you know? Like, I'd have to trim all of this away and... Can't be bothered, you know? Like, when I need another module, I will, like, do my best to copy it and put it down where it needs to go, but I'm not really looking forward to that task. I'm just hoping that I won't have to copy and paste modules very often. Okay, yeah, that's about everything that happened, I think. I bolstered the belts on this one because the bottleneck on science was, of course, Prometheum science packs. Oh, needs global statistics. They're not made on this planet, are they? They're not made on this planet. We make a lot in very small batches when the ship comes back, so we don't really average that much at the moment. We need to maybe think about what we're going to do about this. The ships themselves work very well. They just take a long time to get the 4,000 Prometheum and then come back. And that 4,000 Prometheum, you know, lasts 2 minutes and does make a decent amount of Prometheum Science Pack, but it's just not... We need to upscale this big time, you know, we really need to fix this bottleneck. And just have a huge amount of Prometheum asteroid storage. Like a silly amount. You know? The ship is actually quite narrow, all things considered. We could quite easily just make it really long. It would also be quicker if I had more than 2 asteroid collectors collecting the Prometheum science packs, you know, like have some on the edges that also output on. So I don't want to tear the whole thing down and redesign it, because it does work well, but at the same time, it might just be best to just go ham on it, and if I get bored of mega basing and have the time, I might build, you know, like a ridiculous ship, you know, like super long ship, entirely designed just for holding as many Prometheum asteroid chunks as I can. But anyway, yes, that's the update. That's the bi-weekly update. The update that doesn't happen once every 2 weeks, happens twice a week. Just so that we're all on the same page about that one. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please let me know with a like or a comment. And if you want to see more Factorio Space Age, be sure to subscribe. Yeah, the move is progressing. We are very much in the packing everything in boxes stage. So it's kind of hard sometimes to feel like I morally can spend 2 hours on Factorio when I need to be throwing stuff in boxes, or talking to solicitors, or arranging things. But, you know, it is what it is. We need some time to relax, right? And everybody knows me, I need like 8 hours of relaxation a day. Half an hour of doing a task, oh yeah, back to bed for me. Pop over to the Ricci Mahjongs as well, if you like. If you like, that's always a good time. Other than that, yeah, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.